This is your boy Be Free in the building with my brother Will McKee, better known as Mackie. And we are a part of, first and foremost, the Names Are Not Important podcast, but we're branching off and bringing a new element that kind of focuses on our passion, number one, of sports, and then our passion of the sports affiliated with our historically black colleges and universities. As you see, I got my Benedict College garb on. Brother McKee, an alum of Winston-Salem State. So we wanted to do something kind of to represent those schools in the MEAC and the CIAA, more so your East Coast, Mid Atlantic, because we wanna, and I'm gonna let McKee get into the foundations, but you know, we want to shout out some brothers. There you go, there you go. We want to shout out, those brothers over there holding it down with the SWAC, the SWAC and the Fool brothers who inspired this, and we know the elements and repercussions of if you bite us. So we got to give props for who started that, and those brothers over at SWAC and the Fool who've been representing the SWAC. But we said, hey man, we got to do something for over here, and being my direct ties with the MEAC, and I'm sure McKee will kind of get more into that. I said he came to me and said, "Man, we got to do something to represent our MEAC and our CIAA schools." Now, even though my Benedict College Tigers, we SIAC, but it's all love.
BC.
It's all love, BC. So I'm gonna pass it to Brother Mac and shut my mouth so he can kind of give you some more of the foundations, and then we just gonna kind of intro what we doing and get prepared for a wonderful day of college football. Go ahead, Brother McKee. You got it, Mac.
That was a very eloquent intro. I'm gonna just build on that a little bit. Big shouts out to Delficio McDonald, and Names Are Not Important, which we calling this the nanny. Names Are Not Important sports division, MEACn UP. And what you just said, being the inspiration was, you covered a lot of it. So for those who may not know, not in the Greensboro immediate area, Ben's father on this show, Benjamin Free's father, is Ken Free, 18 years long commissioner of the MEAC, his first full-time commissioner, first African American to be on the NCAA basketball tournament committee, Negro League baseball player, and just a plethora of other things. So he's my uncle. And I joke with Ben and say, kind of like Al Sharpton talks about James Brown. I'm not on Al Sharpton's level, but I say that I was his road manager because in his latter years, after he retired from the MEAC and he went on to be the commissioner of the EIAC, big shout out to those great HBCUs in that conference. He loved them as well. He was just picking up awards. He had more awards, medals, tracks,
Then a tribe called
plaques.
Quest, huh?
Thank
He
you.
was
Then the
on a
tribe
war
called
tour.
Quest. Yeah, I think he even got an award in El Segundo. But
Oh
anyway,
man, that's where he
he,
left his wallet.
where,
I remember that. I
yes,
remember that.
right, right. He left his wallet out there. I went, yeah. So, having said that, we came up in the Mia. He's Ben's dad. I'm his nephew, and so we grew up at MEAC games. Ben played in the SIAC. I played in the CIAA. So we just have a black college wrapped around us. Now, uh, I was on a conference call with my brother Terrence Graves, who is the defensive coach down at Southern University.
Shout out, shout
Big
out.
time. Shout out to Coach T. Graves, big time guy. And Tony Gunther was on that call. Kevin Surratt was on that call. Charlie Clemens and Timothy Pittman, all Winston-Salem State football players. And Kevin Surratt, who has one, he played corner with us at Winston-Salem State. He has one son that's with the Memphis Showboats in the USFL, played at Wake Forest. He has another son that plays with the New York Jets. He's on the New York Jets as a linebacker, Sage Surratt. I may have their names mixed up because they're twins, I believe. But Surratt was like, "Hey man, you ought to do a MEAC CIAA podcast." I said, "I'm gonna holler at Ben and D, who I executive produced their show. See if they interested in that type of thing." Y'all were all over it, and then the brothers, as you said, down in the dirty, dirty South, swacking a fool. Been a big fan of them since I seen them the first time. I would always come tell Ben, "Hey, man, they hot down there." I threw things out about Uncle Kenny to them, and they showed nothing but love. So they were a big inspiration for this. So that's kind of how we here.
No doubt, no doubt. So basically, to introduce it and shout out to Brother D. Hopefully, he can get in before we wrap up. We just wanted to pop on for a few minutes just to kind of intro it and say what we're doing. You know, to open it up. We kind of let the football season open to get it going, but now we here. We here, so we want to just kind of highlight some of the matchups today before they kick off at 12 o'clock. And then we're going to come back on Sunday evening to kind of recap everything and kind of go into our spiel. So the bulk of the show will be on Sundays. You can catch us, or this segment of Names Are Not Important, the MEACn Up segment on Sundays where we're recapping games, but we'll usually do a little early morning pre-kickoff shout out just to highlight what's going on in the world of HBCU football as it pertains to the MEAC CIAA. So that said, Brother McKee, because you know I'm getting excited, I'm getting ready. I think I hear my popcorn going off, getting ready for the
Uh
kickoff. But we want to highlight just a few games today, and then our game of the week that we might go heavy in on tomorrow night for each conference. But let's start with the MEAC. We're gonna start with South Carolina State, who I think has the toughest schedule of any college football team in the nation. They travel
yeah.
to the ATL, Shawty Yeah, to face the Rambling Wreck of Georgia Tech, Morgan State, and that well, South Carolina State, Georgia Tech kick off at 1. Morgan State, who pulled off a big win against the University of Richmond last week, travels to 1A opponent Akron, and they'll be at Akron at 6 o'clock. Then we got Howard, who will be hosting, and this is the battle of the historic HBCUs. The real HU Howard will be hosting Morehouse at 7 p.m. in Washington, D.C. Then we got Delaware
And
State.
they
Hmm?
will be reading a dissertation at halftime on microbiology meets social science. I think.
Shout out to the real HU and Morehouse. Though I done turned the Hampton fans against me, but they ain't MEAC no more, so I ain't worried. So anyway,
Uh
Delaware State
oh.
are going to take their sting to Army up in West Point, New York today at 12 o'clock. So they'll be kicking off
Good.
soon. And then Norfolk State, coming off a tough loss to Virginia State, is traveling to Hampton. The new HU, as I call them. No, let me stop. Is traveling to Hampton to play them at 6 o'clock. The battle, the seven cities, Tide Water. You know, that's going to be a great battle. And then our game of the week, which we saved, and being that we're from Greensboro and MEAC disciples, so speak, this is a big game, especially for the state of North Carolina. You got the Aggie Eagle Classic that is going down this evening at 7 p.m., where the North Carolina A&T State Aggies are hosting the Eagles of North Carolina Central. North Carolina Central coming off a big win. I'm sorry, McKee, against the Rams of Winston-Salem State last week. So they're coming in to upset the Aggies, who had a tough loss against uh, Alabama Birmingham. And they're coming in to be a spoiler. And McKee, I think they got a good chance of doing it today. I saw bits and pieces of their game against Winston, and they look like they're ready. They looked impressive. Um, what's your thoughts on the game of the week?
Man, I think the exciting part about rivalries, and these schools are only separated by about 55 miles or so. You can throw the record books out the window. You can throw last week out the window. Although I do agree with you, uh, NCCU definitely has momentum off of that tough trouncing that the shellacking, as President Obama once said that they gave us last week. Hopefully, we'll bounce back this week up in Ohio. But it's a toss up. Whoever executes today, that's an easy answer. That's an evading answer, you could argue. But I think whoever executes today is usually who wins that rivalry. But I think I'm a big sports psychology type person. I was telling you earlier this week, Ben, I think that this is a must-win game for A&T already because they're going in that CAA conference schedule, which is brutal as it concerns FCS,
Yeah.
formerly 1AA. I think they're going to be a back against the wall mentality already. So I would
Yeah.
probably give the edge to the Aggies on this one.
Okay. Okay. There you have it. All right. We gonna keep track. We got our stat track. I wish Mac was on here so we could get his vote. But Be Free is choosing Central. Will McKee got A&T. And at the end of the year, will the winner will get a all you can drink pass for water at
Oh,
the
that's right.
buffet closest to where you reside. But anyway, and with the weather conditions, if they stay like they are now, it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting. So
Very.
let's move real quickly to the CIAA, and they got a full schedule today. Uh, let's start with you got a lot of teams traveling this week. Bowie State
Yeah.
coming off a big win last week is traveling all the way up to Grand Rapids, Michigan to play Davenport University. You got Johnson C. Smith hosting Walsh University of Ohio this afternoon. You got Lincoln University, which is traveling to Waterbury, Connecticut to play Post University. You have locally here in Raleigh, North Carolina, you got the Shaw Bears hosting CIAA opponent Virginia Union, which should be an interesting matchup as well. Also in the CI, you got football member Bluefield State, which is hosting Emory and Henry College this afternoon. Then you got the Virginia State Trojans, who are uh, 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 coming off that big win against Norfolk State last week, hosting Tusculum University. Then McKee, we got your Rams of Winston-Salem State. They are headed all the way to Columbus, Ohio this Saturday or today to play Ohio Dominican University. And then you got the Livingstone Bears battling their crosstown rival, the Battle of Salisbury. They're playing the Catawba College Indians this afternoon. So that should be an interesting battle. And then you got Fayetteville State, who will be hosting Lenore Rhine this afternoon. And our game of the week in the CIAA, McKee, is none other than the battle for the East. It's going down in Rocky Mount, North Carolina today, where the Elizabeth City State University Vikings are hosting the Falcons of St. Augustine's University. I know some people say St. Augustine's, but we in the South. St. Augustine's University is coming all the way from Raleigh, going to Elizabeth City in a matchup, a rivalry within the CIAA. McKee, where do you feel with picks on this matchup?
Yeah, this is always a fun one. Didn't they used to call this the Down East Classic?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a great atmosphere in Rocky Mount. Anybody that hasn't been is very festive, brings a lot of business and commerce to the Rocky Mount area.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say St. Aug, just based off what some things I was reading on last week's game and Elizabeth City State's last week's game. But this is another rivalry game that you could throw the books out the window in a lot of ways as well. Very interested to see what the class of the conference of the South, of the Southern Division, what Fayetteville State does with Lenore Ryan today.
Yeah.
That yeah, that's going to be an interesting matchup. But hey, this week will give us a lot to predict on next week. People are still filling themselves out. So big shout out to everybody down there at the Down East Classic, and to my Rams. We need one bad in Ohio, but we're up against a perennially gritty, tough Midwest
Yeah.
opponent.
Yeah.
So if we can come out of there with the win, that'll get us some momentum back going into conference.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
Once again, so the prediction you're going with St. Augs, and I feel you, but Elizabeth City's at home. They had a competitive game last week. I, I think I want to go with. I think I want to go with the Vikings at home. That puts us on the odds, but we'll see. We'll see. Like you said, this is going to be a defining weekend, I believe, in the
And,
CIAA. Go ahead, brother.
and big shout out. I like that. I like we going against each other, but I like that. Big shout out to Dr. Kerry Dixon, the president, the chancellor down at Elizabeth City State, who's doing a phenomenal job with their enrollment and those academic type things. Big shout out to A.L. Fleming. He
Oh
was
yeah,
a prior friend of who's in development at UNC Chapel Hill now, was down at Albany State as VP. I know he's pulling hard for his Vikings.
hey, he
But
might
I
be
like that
down there.
pick,
He
me.
might be down
He
there. You know what I'm saying? You
he might
never know.
he
He
might take
might
a
be down
helicopter down there.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
lastly, before we sign off, I do have to do this because they are my beloved. And shout out to my Benedict College Tigers who are traveling to Jacksonville, Florida today to take on Edward Waters in a old NAIA rivalry that we had before we went to the SIAC. So shout out to my Tigers, and we're gonna try to keep that train rolling. But once again, before we sign off, just want to let everybody know. Catch us on the Names Are Not Important page, uh, the YouTube page. You can catch us on on Resource Center TV. We'll be broadcasting to all these platforms. With the MEACn UP platform to come on Facebook, so we'll send out some of the notes and stuff to catch us. But Sundays we'll be doing the wrap up, but we'll always kind of pop on Saturday morning to give a little preview of what it is. Um, but shouts out again to Swack and the Fool, the inspiration to this to tell us we got to step our game up. So we're just kind of doing the MEAC CI version, but it's nothing to take from them brothers, big brothers, and hopefully we can uh, have them on. We could be on whatever, but they are truly an inspiration, and we are big fans of their network. So with that, McKee, any final thoughts before kickoff, brother?
I'm just looking forward to a great day of football today. You know what's up because me acting up.
Me acting up. So come on and act up with us, and we'll see everybody on Sunday. Enjoy a great day of football, and we'll see you Sunday evening. Peace.